These are all steps I do in my mastering process, from the very first waveform check till the final AB and codecs comparisons. First, I load the track in the RX software by iZotope, and here I check the phase rotation and if the positive and negative values of the waveform are in balance. I also use the spectrogram to identify deeper click and hum sounds that can cause problems when it comes to mastering. And I also use the waveform stats to get a first impression of the loudness and of the dynamic range. And if I need to do some adjustments, I render the track and load it in Logic Pro X. Basically, I start with a subtractive EQ to cut unwanted frequencies, then I do resonance suppression or de-essing, especially for the higher frequencies to reduce harshness. Then I use the unlimiter module by Ozone to restore the dynamics and transients if the mix sounds a little bit flat or overcompressed. I also use stem EQing to boost or reduce the individual stems of the mix separately. Then I use the bass module to find the right balance in the low end and to process the sustain and transient material separately. I also do compression. Here I either go with multiband compression or I do full range compression. This depends on the mix. And if it is necessary, I also use the Ozone impact module to process the microdynamics. Now the mix sounds really controlled, balanced and clean, and now we can add some color and dimension to it. Here I start with saturation to add some harmonics, then I use an additive EQ to boost frequencies and to add this nice analog touch to my signal. Then I do adaptive tone shaping to get the tonal balance right. I use an imager to increase or narrow the stereo width, and I use a clipper to hard clip or to soft clip the high amplitude peaks of the signal and to get some headroom before limiting. Then I try to find the right limiter that matches the sound that I'm looking for the best, and in the last step I use some analyzer tools to see if everything is working correctly. Here I check the high amplitude peaks again, I check the balance between the low, mid and high frequencies, I also check the frequency curve over the entire frequency spectrum, then I check the stereo width, I also check the balance between the left and the right channel, I check the phase correlation, and in the very last step I check how the track sounds on different streaming platforms like Spotify, YouTube or SoundCloud, and how it sounds on different devices like mobile, desktop or premium devices. Now you basically know all my potential plugins that I use in my mastering chain. Don't get me wrong, I never use all the plugins at the same time for the same project, and I only do gentle adjustments, but I like the opportunity to process the track in so many different ways and to be able to work on every little detail to make the track as good sounding as possible.